Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's story is one that will stay with you long after the video ends because it reminds us how a small moment of kindness can change someone's entire day, and sometimes even their life. So sit back, relax, and let me take you into the world of a single dad, a little girl with a heart bigger than the universe, and a woman who had silently struggled her whole life. This is the story of how a simple cup of coffee turned into something Everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's story begins on a cold autumn morning when the city was barely waking up, street lights still glowing against the fading night and a thin mist floating above the sidewalks. The world was moving slow, like it hadn't finished stretching yet, and that's exactly when our main character entered the little corner coffee shop. He was a single dad named Ryan, 32 years old, always tired, always juggling work bills and raising his 6-year-old daughter Lily, all on his own. But despite how hard life had been, she was his entire world. Every smile she gave him made every struggle worth it. And Lily pushed the door open, and the warm smell of roasted coffee beans wrapped around them like a hug. Inside, baristas were still setting up the pastry counter, stacking croissants, brushing them with glaze, and filling the air with the soft hum of morning chatter. The shop wasn't busy yet, just a few students with laptops, an older couple reading newspapers, and one woman who stood out not because she wanted to, but because she was clearly struggling, stood in line. Just 2 people ahead of Ryan, tall, slender, wrapped in a soft blue scarf, and gripping her small notebook in both hands. She looked nervous, almost scared, like each passing second was making her more uncomfortable. She kept looking down at the notebook, flipping through pages with shaky fingers. Ryan noticed, even Lily noticed, because Lily tugged on her father's sleeve and whispered, "Daddy, why does that lady look sad?" Ryan whispered back, "Maybe she just had a long morning, sweetheart," but he could sense it wasn't that. Something else was going on. The woman reached the counter, and the barista gave her a bright, "Good morning, what can I get started for you?" But the woman didn't reply, at least not in the way the barista expected. Instead, she began signing with her hands, her movements fast, nervous, unsure. The barista froze, confused. "I'm sorry, I don't understand. Could you write it down, maybe?" But the woman shook her head and pointed to her notebook, flipping it open, but her hands were trembling too much to even hold the page still. She tried to sign again, tried to form her order with gestures, but the young barista just blinked apologetically. "I'm really sorry. I don't know what you're saying." People behind her started shifting, impatiently sighing, glancing at the time, tapping their feet. That subtle pressure, that cruel unspoken message that she was taking too long and needed to hurry. The woman's face fell, her shoulders stiffened, and she stepped back slightly, eyes darting down, embarrassment flooding her features like a rising tide. She wasn't just struggling, she was panicking. This was something she had probably gone through 1,000 times, getting ignored, misunderstood, stared at, and silently judged for something she could not change. Ryan felt his chest tighten watching her, because he recognized that look. He'd seen it on himself once, after losing his wife, after becoming a single dad, after feeling like the whole world was too busy to understand anyone else's pain. He knew that expression of quiet desperation, and he couldn't just stand there, so he walked forward, gently touching the woman's elbow, and she turned quickly, startled at first, then confused, then scared, until Ryan slowly lifted his hand and began saying, "Ningari, you oka." Her eyes widened like she wasn't expecting anyone here to understand. Her Ryan wasn't fluent at all, but he knew enough. His late wife had studied sign language, and she had taught him bits and pieces before she passed away. He never imagined he'd use it again, but now it came back like flickering light in a long, dark hallway. The woman blinked rapidly and signed back, slow, hesitant. You know sign." He nodded, a little enough to help. "I think. What do you want to order?" She relaxed, just a little enough for her fingers to steady, and she signed carefully, "Latte. Small, 2 pumps, vanilla, extra hot, please." Ryan turned to the barista and translated the order. Quickly, the barista's face instantly softened. "Oh, of course, absolutely, 1 small extra hot vanilla latte." Coming right up. The mood changed just like that, the tension in the room melting away. The people behind her calmed down, returning to their phones and conversations, and the woman let out a breath, so fragile it was almost invisible. But that wasn't the end, because as she reached for her wallet, her sleeve brushed back, revealing a small faded bracelet with little bells on it. Lily spotted it instantly, gasping, "It's so pretty." The woman turned, surprised, then gently smiled at the little girl, nodding in thanks. Lily tugged Ryan's jacket. "Daddy, can I give her something?" Ryan chuckled. "What do you want to give her, honey?" Lily reached into her tiny backpack and pulled out a sticker sheet, sparkly stars and smiling moons, shiny, colorful things kids love. She held one out to the woman, offering it like a treasure. The woman blinked, taken aback. No one had ever seen her for her. Usually they only saw her silence. She slowly took the sticker, pressed it to her notebook, and gave Lily the warmest smile she had probably given anyone that morning, maybe even that month. They waited together for the drinks, and the woman tapped lightly on Ryan's arm, signing, "Thank you for helping me. People usually don't." He shook his head. "You don't have to thank me, you just needed someone to slow down." A moment she paused, then signed again. "It's hard. Every day is like this sometimes. I avoid places because I can't ask for things." Ryan nodded. I get it, life shouldn't be that hard for something as simple as coffee, but people get busy and forget. To be human, the woman's eyes filled with emotion, not tears. Exactly, just the weight of being understood. For once she pointed to herself and signed, "My name is Claire." He introduced himself, and Lily and Claire gently tapped Lily's hand, signing. "Nice to meet you," Lily giggled, trying to copy the sign but doing it a little upside down. Claire laughed silently, correcting her with patient hands. Drinks arrived, and Claire signed another thank you, this time slower, more heartfelt. She started to leave, but Lily called out, "Wait." Claire looked back, and Lily ran toward her, hugging her waist, surprising everyone, especially Claire, who froze like she didn't know what to do. Then very slowly she placed a gentle hand on Lily's back, returning the hug, her expression softening into something peaceful, something like hope. She finally stepped away, giving one last smile before walking out into the morning sunlight. The bell above the door chiming softly as she left. Ryan and Lily sat at a table, but Ryan couldn't stop thinking about her, because that moment wasn't small, not to her, and not to him either. People don't realize it, but kindness isn't measured by size, it's measured by timing and sincerity, and this morning kindness had shown up exactly when it was needed. The next day, Ryan returned to the same coffee shop, same time, same routine, but this time something unexpected happened. Claire was there, sitting by the window, flipping through her notebook, sipping a latte. When she noticed them, her face brightened. She waved shyly, signing, "Good morning." Lily waved back enthusiastically. The barista also noticed and quickly walked over to Ryan. "Hey, so after yesterday, we talked to the manager and we're adding a small sign chart near the register, like basic phrases and common drink orders." She even asked Claire to help us make it. Ryan looked over at Claire, who smiled and lifted her small chart like she had been working on it all night, pride shining in her eyes. Suddenly, this wasn't just her world becoming easier, the whole shop was trying to meet her halfway. The barista grinned. "Yesterday made us realize we should be able to help people better. You know, it's not fair to make someone feel lost because we didn't take time to understand." Ryan looked at Claire, then at Lily, then at the staff, and felt something warm bloom in his chest. The kind of feeling that told him good things still happened, even in a world that sometimes felt too fast, too unkind, too distracted. Claire walked over, handing Ryan a small folded note. Inside it, she had written in careful, neat letters, "Thank you for seeing me when no one else did. You made my day easier and you reminded me I'm not invisible." Ryan looked up surprised. Claire met his eyes and signed, "You helped me speak today, even without words." He answered with the small, simple sign his wife had taught him years ago, "You're welcome." Claire's gaze softened, not with sadness but gratitude, a quiet, unspoken understanding passing between thinly, then tugged Claire's sleeve again, signing as best as she could, "Your friend," which made Claire cover her mouth, smiling and signing back, "Yes, friend." From that morning on, Claire became part of their little routine. Some days they only waved, other days they sat together, sharing moments through scribbled notes or small signs. Claire even taught Lily new signs every morning, turning the coffee shop into a tiny classroom, filled with laughter instead of awkward silence. And slowly, Claire grew more confident, placing orders without fear. Because she knew she wasn't alone anymore, the staff learned to learning signs, practicing together. Some fumbling, but trying, always trying, and that effort meant more to Claire than anything she could have said aloud. Weeks passed, and something extraordinary happened one morning. The manager introduced a new system. The menu now included visual icons, easy for people with hearing difficulties to point at. There was a little bell by the counter that lit up instead of ringing so deaf customers wouldn't miss their turn, and a laminated card offering common sign phrases hung proudly beside the register. Claire stood next to it with an expression that said she couldn't believe it. All these changes because one man had taken 30 seconds to notice her struggle, because one child had given her a sticker, because kindness has a way of echoing further than we think. Ryan watched her as she gently touched the laminated card, awe in her eyes, and he realized this coffee shop wasn't the only thing changing. Claire was too. She stood taller, smiled more, signed confidently, and even started helping other deaf customers who came in, guiding them like a quiet guardian angel of the shop. One morning, Claire approached their table, tapping Ryan's wrist gently before signing something new. "Would you like to learn more sign language together?" Ryan blinked, startled, then smiled. "I'd love that," he said, signing the words slowly. Claire nodded, then tapped Lily's nose playfully, and Lily giggled immediately, signing yes, 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 even though she signed it completely wrong. Claire laughed, fixing her hands and guiding her gently. Ryan felt something shift inside him, maybe healing, maybe hope, maybe the simple realization that humans aren't meant to go through life alone. Maybe small moments like this were exactly what he needed too. He thought about his wife, how she had tried to teach him signs, how she believed communication wasn't just about speaking but connecting. She would have loved this. He knew she would have loved Claire too, and the way Claire looked at Lily with gentle affection, the way she looked at Ryan with gratitude and quiet understanding, it felt like life was weaving threads together in a way he hadn't expected. And just when Ryan thought this story had already given all its gifts, another moment came, one that sealed everything into something unforgettable. It Was a Friday morning. The shop was unusually busy. Rain tapping loudly outside, people rushing and soaked cold and grumpy. Ryan and Lily found a seat while Claire stood at the counter ready to order. Normally she was confident now, but today her notebook slipped from her hands, papers spilling everywhere. Getting stepped on wet from umbrellas, Claire froze overwhelmed. Trying to pick them up, but they kept getting kicked around in the crowd. Ryan started to stand, but before he could move, Lily darted forward, weaving through adults like a tiny superhero. She knelt down, picking up page after page, careful, gentle, determined. Then she looked up at the crowd and shouted, "Stop moving, you're stepping on her things." Everyone froze, startled. Lily held the papers to her chest, glaring like a fierce little warrior, and people actually listened. They stepped back, clearing space. Claire looked at Lily with shock, slowly rising to her feet. Lily handed her the notebook. Signing carefully, "You're okay." Claire's eyes filled with tears, real ones this time. She knelt down, hugging Lily tightly, then looked at Ryan and mouthed, "Thank you." Ryan shook his head, mouthing back, "No, thank her," pointing to his daughter, and Claire laughed. A soft, breathy laugh, even without sound. It was the most beautiful thing. After the chaos, the manager approached Claire with a gentle smile, saying, "You know, Claire, you've helped this place more than you realize, so we'd like to ask if you'd train our staff once a week, teach them basic signing, if you want." Claire's hands trembled. She signed, "Really, me?" The manager nodded. "Absolutely. You made us better. We want to keep learning." Claire covered her mouth, overwhelmed, then quickly signed, "Yes, yes, I would love to." Ryan clapped, Lily cheered, and the entire shop seemed to glow warmer that day, because sometimes change starts with one brave person being seen and one kind person stopping long enough to help. Months later, the coffee shop had completely transformed. There were regular signing workshops, more deaf customers, more patience, more understanding, and Claire was at the heart of it all, no longer invisible, no longer struggling alone. She was a teacher, a guide, a friend to dozens, and every morning she greeted Ryan and Lily with a smile brighter than the coffee machines behind her. One day she signed something new to Ryan, something that made him pause and breathe differently. She signed, "You and Lily changed my life." Ryan hesitated, then signed back, "No, Claire, you changed your life. We just stood beside you." Claire looked down, shy, then signed slowly, "You remind me people can be good, and maybe trust is okay." Ryan reached out gently, touching her hand, signing, "Trust is safe here," and she nodded, and maybe, just maybe, that was the moment when both of them realized this was no longer just a story about a cup of coffee. It was about connection, healing, courage, and the way broken pieces fit together when someone simply cares enough to see them. And so, the single dad, Lily, the little girl with the brightest heart, and Claire, the woman who once struggled to order a simple drink, became something like a tiny family, built not from blood but from kindness. And that is the magic of this story, that one moment, one gesture, one cup of coffee brought together people who needed each other without even realizing it. So if you're watching this, remember, this kindness doesn't have to be loud, it doesn't have to be heroic. Sometimes all it takes is slowing down, noticing someone who is struggling, and offering a hand or a smile or a few silent signs, and that can change everything. Thank you for watching. And if this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because we have more stories coming that will remind you just how powerful human kindness can be.